Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. It is Wednesday the 21st of February and it's an important day today with Nvidia releasing earnings after market closes tonight. So let's have just a quick look at what's going on. What is actually interesting here on the weekly chart, you can see we had a bullish day. Well, actually several bullish weeks up, and then last week very indecisive, a lot of volatility, but it opened and closed in this more or less at the same price. And for now, this week we have a bearish move. So if this was the close of the week, as we see here, then we actually have a very beautiful doji evening star top and reversal pattern. So that's going to be interesting here. There are still 3 days left for this week to do some trading. It was lower yesterday. This steep trend line is more like a guideline really, but also very top is looking, and a gap a little bit lower there. Divergence on the RSI, both weekly and daily. So that's going to be interesting what will happen. That can obviously also affect the entire market. We had the Nasdaq 100 testing minor support here at 17,478 yesterday. Did close above, but could be pushed lower towards the 17,100. And if we do close below, well, then there is also room down to testing the 17,000 in total. We have some support around these levels. S&P 500 still holding on above the very short-term rising trend line here. 4,920 is the key level to look out for. We are still in an uptrend, but as I mentioned several times before, very fragile and looks in exhaustive mode. Let's have a look at Hang Seng. What happened this morning? Very interesting. We had a higher close, so we are actually building an uptrend very short term. It is not yet confirmed on the RSI, still below the 60 threshold as you can see, but I think we could see a move higher towards the 17,000 in the next couple of days. Did spike higher, so but let's see if it can keep following through here the next couple of days. It did fall back a little bit towards the end of the trading session. EUROSTOXX 50. More or less sideways trading here on the for the past few days. Could be a sign of also indecision really. RSI divergence indicating a shortening of the trend. So we could see lower levels here the next couple of days, but key support still 46.74. DAX can't really get momentum. Trading around the or just above the 17,000 level, still holding on, but the key support is 16,821. But look out for selling down below 17,000, then it could come under pressure. AEX seems like we are now finally getting some correction here. We have a divergence. You can see the RSI value is declining. It closed the gap here, but still the key area to look out for is the gap area 837, 831. If that is being closed, then we have a larger correction ongoing. Belgium market a little bit dull, sliding a little bit lower, still holding on, but the falling trend line. So not really much to say there. CAC 40. Trying to tick higher, and it did yesterday. Still potential higher towards the 7,813, 7,850 level. That could be seen. Still fairly strong uptrend, still holding on. But if it starts moving back below 7,700, well, then it's probably over with CAC 40. SMI 20 touched the previous peak there from the 30th of January at 11,474, just with a little spike higher actually. It needs to close above for further upside momentum, but I think we will get it. We have RSI back above the 60 threshold. It was back above the upper falling trend line, so there should, despite being divergence, some upside potential. On the FX markets, we have the euro-dollar that has broken above this falling trend line here. It's not the most perfect one, it only got 2 points really. And if we should be playing with it a little bit, well, then it's actually testing this one. But Overall, it is not convincing. We are still in a bearish trend, despite it seems like it's trying to cancel it here. But the 200 moving average is giving some resistance. We have the 100 coming up here, declining. So there's a little bit of a tug of war, which we also discussed the past few days. I think the upside potential is fairly limited. We are in a negative sentiment with no divergence on the RSI, indicating we could see a downtrend resuming fairly shortly. But let's see when it actually comes. It is a little bit indecisive, so I will wait and see with the euro dollar for a clear direction. More or less the same picture on cable, really, trading between 127 and 125.5. Really no clear direction other than sideways. Dollar yen still holding on above 149.75, testing yesterday again. It should start moving higher, and we're going to look at the other yen pairs in a second, and they are actually pushing higher. So there is some movement in the yen pairs. I still believe we'll see a yen towards the 150, 152, the 2022 peak. RSI is telling us that should be upside potential, and we are in an uptrend. Euro yen slowly ticking higher. There is potential up to 163.30, possibly 164.20, which is also the previous peak here back from November. So we are in an uptrend. Don't be too afraid. There can be some corrections, but bullish sentiment, a positive sentiment, and we also have the 100 moving average coming up, 55 also coming up. So you give it about a week or so, then it's probably breaking above that and forming a gold cross that could point to higher levels. Aussie yen testing at the 2022 peak. You will see it spiked up a little bit there also, just around 98.70. And the same picture here at 98.60 and a change. We are in a fairly strong uptrend. There's no divergence on the RSI. We should see higher Aussie yen levels in coming weeks. Excuse me. Sterling yen, trying also to get the most together, but it's probably mostly due to sterling being a little bit indecisive. So we are in an uptrend, but it is a little bit fragile and it's not really convincing. Aussie dollar did close above a minor resistance at 65.45. Can it actually move higher? If it does move above 66.25, well, then we have a complete different situation. We have to reverse this trend here, and we have totally demolished the shoulder-head-shoulder pattern. And for now, it is shaking a little bit. So I will say wait and see until we possibly get a move back below 65.20. Dollar switch sliding a little bit lower, but trading around the 88.20 here. We have the moving averages coming down, so that's kind of pushing a little bit or holding it back a little bit. But bullish RSI tells us that we should see a move higher past 89 within the next week or so. Dollar index, well, sliding lower here. We are in an uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, but it really struggling at the moment. We also have the moving average coming down there, but we have that's the 100, we have the 200 coming up. So there's a little bit of tug of war, and we see the same picture on cable. We see the same picture on especially euro dollar. But we are in a positive sentiment, and we should see dollar index moving higher in coming. Gold very close to testing the 618 retracement at 2,034.35, but it's being held down by the 55 moving average there. Could still see it being tested. Not unlikely it will spike up to the 786 retracement, but then we'll be back above the cloud, and I'm not quite sure we'll get there before we see selling pressure resuming. Silver can't really make up its mind what it really wants to, so I will say wait and see. It's still in this range here between 22 and 23.5. Copper, on the other hand, had a massive day yesterday and the past few days, really back above the cloud, very close to breaking bullish on the RSI, but in the bigger picture, and let's just quickly have a look at the weekly. As you can see here, we are still holding on above the this trend line here, which seems to also be kind of a period line. But we have the 100 and 200 moving average coming down. But I think we are locked in here between these levels around 365, 370 and 390 to the upside. On the energy market, WTI got rejected, more or less bang on the 79.77. Yesterday 79.80 it actually touched, but it got rejected, and now we are back in this range. And if you saw my update yesterday that I sent out in more details, we could be stuck in this range here with resistance up here and the lower rising lows there. So little bit to the positive, but not really convincing. Same picture on Brent, but it couldn't really get up to its 84.75 key resistance level, and also being stuck there. What is interesting is Henry Hub gas, that actually yesterday, and let's just read, there we are, very strong bullish engulfing pattern, 1, 2, 3, almost 4 days it took out. There should now be potential up to 192, possibly up to around $2 on the Henry Hub gas. So a very strong bullish engulfing there, really beautiful one. Dutch gas could be forming a doji evening pattern here if we get a bullish day today. Let's see about that. There's still potential down to 22.85, but we could see it take a little bit higher. So wait and see for this to materialize. What will it do? Will we actually have another negative day, or will it push higher and thereby forming a bottom and reversal pattern? Finally, on the US 10-year, well, sideways between 420 and 430, and that's where you will see it, I think, the next couple of days, possibly towards the end of the week. It needs a breakout from there to find direction. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.